In a previous video, I showed you one of my favorite things to do in the entire website process, and that is wireframing. That's when I take a very ordinary thing like a pencil and a piece of paper and just sketch out the pages, the layouts of the pages of a website that I'll be working on. And I love that process because, as I said in the previous video, I feel like I'm still dreaming about what the final site is going to look like, but it's all based on what I've discussed with all the research I've done, all the discovery I've done with my client about their business, who they are, and so on. And so the next step is taking that sketch and then transforming it into a mock-up. And a mock-up is similar in a sense, but instead of having just sketched things like boxes and arrows and squiggly, this and that, it has actually pictures, graphics, the fonts we're going to use, colors we're going to use, and so on. So it's a much closer representation of what the site will look like in its final version. It's by no means the final version, but it's much closer. So without further ado, let's take a look. Just to refresh your memory, this is the wireframe sketch that I showed you in the previous video, and the sketch that I'm going to be following the most closely is this one. I believe it was like number 3, and at the top there's a hero header. We're going to put a video in there with text overlay, then a section with the main statement and some transactions, recent transactions, this grid of boxes that will show the services and specialties, so it'll be a picture, then text, then picture, and so on. The team, the leadership team, a picture of them in action, not just standing around, but doing actual work. News and other, that would be from their blog feed. They can call that news or insights with pictures. And then there should be a call to action right below that, as well as a footer. So let me now show you the actual mock-ups that I put together. So this time to create the mock-ups, I'm using a program called Adobe Express. It's Adobe's answer, I think, to Canva. It's quite good. I think it's just as good, honestly. And the reason I use it over Canva isn't that I think it's better. It's just that I have a subscription to Adobe Creative Cloud, and this is part of it, so I'm just using that. But it's very easy to use, and I'm going to quickly show you just how easy, because mock-ups are so important, but they're very quick to put together when you use a program like this. So here we've got the video, and let me just quickly play that for you. It's a stock video, so guys, if you're going to put video on your site, use originally shot video. Don't use stock video. I use it for placeholders, that's all. And the next thing I wanted to show you is just how easy it is to put something like this in there. So the first thing I do is go over here to Media, select Videos, and then in the search box I put in business meeting, I believe. And the cool thing is that as you scroll down through the video samples, they start to play. You get these little previews, so you get a nice idea of what's there. And there's the one I selected, and I remember seeing the preview and thinking, okay, that will work. So you'll just select it, grab it, drag it over, and then resize it to fit the canvas. Now I believe the page size, the document size I said, is something like 1920 pixels by probably around 3,000 or 4,000 just to start. You can always make it bigger. All right, so I've got the video in there, and the next thing I want to do is add text. And so I just clicked add text. Now you can use any of the samples there as well, but in this one I decided to use mine. So you just type our amazing firm, and that doesn't show up too well over the video, so I'm going to change that very easily over here to white. All of the editing options are on the left. Adobe even gives suggestions. You can change the font size, you can change the weight or the style, you can change the font itself, how it appears, things like that. It's very easy, very fun. You can do shadows, animation. It's kind of, the possibilities are almost endless. The same goes for adding the logo. This is another sample from Adobe Express. And then the text up here is a menu, but that's all text. It doesn't click to anything. But that just gives you an idea of how quick and easy it is to start putting a mock-up together based on a wireframe sketch. So now let's move on to the actual mock-ups that I started to put together. So this is the first one, and it is very faithful. It's very much, based on the sketch that I have, and it just really didn't quite work. One thing I don't like about Adobe Express is that at least I haven't figured out how to measure the margins and set them on the side. So my first problem here is that it looks cluttered. There's just too much stuff in each section, and there's not enough room around the content to let the eye kind of relax. You need to have a lot more white space around the content, a lot more breathing room. This grid box that I thought would work really well just doesn't. I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it. And if I'm not feeling it, I don't show it to my client. The same here. I like the pictures throughout the whole mock-up that I've created so far. These are all stock pictures. This one isn't what I call an action shot, so it's the team working. You see a lot of collaboration there. But again, it just kind of, this whole thing falls flat and kind of feels very cluttered. So let's move on to the next one. Now this, I think, is a big improvement because, first of all, there is more content in it. This thing is called a tombstone. It's a graphic, a visual representation of a banking firm's transaction, and these arrows suggest that this would be in a slideshow, so you would see several of their most recent transactions there, and I think that's a very good thing for a banking firm to have. The font has been changed. That yellow line I had is gone. The colors of the buttons are different, and they're square, they're rectangular, not oval. And the colors here in the services area are a little bit different. This whole layout is different. I think easier on the eye again, and clearer as to what they are. The only problem is that the text here is not very legible. And I'm going to zoom in just a moment, but it has to be legible. No matter how small it is. Hopefully it's not too small. So I'm going to change that. This I didn't change too much. It's just got more space around it. The news and insights, the blog excerpts, this still needs work. So as you can see now, a mock-up goes through several iterations before we reach a point where it's, presentable. Here we've got the call to action, which I think works nicely, as well as the footer. So let me just quickly zoom into 50%. You can see it up closer. Okay, so we've got that top part here, and then we have a lot more space around this content. These colors, don't really like them, and like I just said, these are not very legible. They need to be in a different color or have a different background. This, I think that works. News and insights, don't think that works, so I'm going to change that. Call to action and the footer, I think, work quite nicely. All right, so let's move on to the final sample. And from a distance, again, I think it looks a lot better. The colors here have been changed. The backgrounds of the names of the services have changed, and the layout of the news and insights is also different. So let's take a look at that a little bit closer. And here again, you've got that video. Let me just play that for you because I like playing it. It's pretty nice, isn't it? Okay, and then we go down here to the opening, the main part of, or the first section of the home page. I would not write learn more. I would say view our other transactions or visit our transactions page. People want to see a lot of that. Our specialties, I would change that to our services or industries we serve. But these colors are a lot more muted, and yet they work better, I think. Background of all the names of the services have white now, so they're much more visible. There's a graphic in here to add a little texture, break up the monotony, Leadership team area did not change. News and insights did change, and it's still not quite done, but it's a huge improvement. The lead story here is a featured story, and it has a summary here, but the other ones just have the title and a featured picture. They could have 1 or 2 sentences below there for a summary as well, with a link that goes to the news or the news and insights pages. The call to action and the footer have remained the same. And so you see, when you zoom out, it just feels a lot better. It just is easier on the eye. It's clear what the site is about. It's clear where to go or what they offer. I would put one more thing here, like see more of our specialties or visit our specialties page, something like that. But it just works better. Mockups are really important because even though they're not final, they really show you what the website could look like and how it could function. They're very, very important. And so they take a little bit of effort, but because of programs like Adobe Express and Canva and XD and a few others, it's really easy to pull them together quickly. And that way my clients and I can then discuss them, debate them, argue about them, things like that. They can give me their feedback, their opinions, and their suggestions, and then we move forward. All right, I hope that this has been helpful and interesting, maybe even enlightening for you. If you would like to work with me, please let me know. I'd love to hear from you. My information is below in the description box. Thanks as always for watching and for being here. I truly, truly appreciate it. And I will talk to you again soon in my next video.